No, I was also on unique, but I stayed at Worcester, and the defining moment for me was actually when I woke up one morning and there were ducks on my balcony, and I thought, well, this is wonderful. This is surely it doesn't get any better than this.
Definitely the collegiate system was a massive advantage for me because I was always quite shy. So I thought that I would really get on somewhere where I had that community of people that were sort of waiting for me. And I knew that there were always going to be the same kind, I'd see the same faces every day, and I thought it would make it a lot easier to make friends. So definitely going somewhere with a college where I knew that I had a college community waiting for me was really important. And that's why I chose Oxford.
Because of the collegiate system, there's a small group of you all doing the same subject in your year group. So there's like kind of like 7 or 8 of you normally, kind of around that, depends on the subject obviously, but it means that you have that kind of support network of people that you can like go and sit and write your essays with, or go and like work through a problem sheet together. And it's kind of like you have that kind of set of, yeah, like these are my subject people that I can like discuss and kind of have these like debates with about my subject and really kind of expand knowledge and stuff.
The whole unique experience kind of showed me that I wanted to come to Oxford, and that like there's people it sounds weird, but there's people that sound like me here as well. Because like where I'm from, not many people go to Oxford, so I was like, oh, there's not going to be any Northerners here. So that was just a really nice thing for me.
When I did some of the sessions in the maths department and met some of the professors in there, you think, wow, these people are really top of their game, and really enthusiastic about what they do, and just the best in the world. And it's kind of humbling, you know, to work with these people every day, and that's a massive push.
I visited Worcester on a school trip because I live in one of the link areas for Worcester. So it was really good for me to see not only what life is like at university, but also what life is like at a collegiate university, because I was very unfamiliar with the system. And so that experience really solidified for me that I definitely wanted to go to university. But hopefully the online open days will give you as the same kind of experience as real life.
I had probably quite a similar thing because I did uni. I think I stayed at Brasenose, but one day we decided, oh, we'll go and look around Worcester because like its grounds are really nice. And like I kind of walked into Cloister, I was like, oh, I really want to apply here. It's so nice.
I was also on unique, but I stayed at Worcester, and the defining moment for me was actually when I woke up one morning and there were ducks on my balcony, and I thought, well, this is wonderful. This is surely it doesn't get any better than this.
So I ended up kind of doing a lot of research online. So I looked at like the alternative prospectus, but in the end I just decided, right, I just need to go and see them. So I just took myself up to Oxford for a day and just spent the day going into colleges. And like all the porters are really lovely, so they just like, if you said to them, oh, do you mind if I have a look around, they were so lovely and would just let you kind of have a look in the grounds and kind of see what it was. And I kind of went into Worcester and just went, yeah, this is the one. Just kind of an immediate kind of sense of home almost.
I kind of came up with a list of colleges. There's this Student Union tool, which is a bit outdated, but it's really good, and you kind of say your priorities for what you want in terms of colleges, and from there I kind of made a bit of a short list and then visited them from there. And I found that really, really good. So it's kind of more than 30 colleges, and they're all quite similar in lots of respects. So being able to do that meant that I was able to just come up with about 5 or so, which I was then able to go and have a look around, which I found really helpful.
I think it's also chatting to people. Hopefully you'll get to chat to people on the open day and get a feel for what the kind of people who are like at Worcester, because I know everyone says that their college has a friendly reputation, but I really believe that we have the friendliest reputation, and everyone is really, really super lovely, and hopefully you get a chance to talk to some of the people around, because I think that gives you a good full feel for the ethos of the college and the staff as well. all of the staff are so lovely, the academic and non-academic staff, and that really makes a difference to our day-to-day life, and I think that's a big part of what makes Worcester special.
I think I'm a bit of a traitor because I didn't apply to Worcester straight off, but I definitely think I've upgraded and I'm glad I've ended up here. So.
I did like a bit of a price comparison thing. So I looked at the price for accommodation at different colleges that like offered my course. I looked at kind of the average like meal price in hall and how long you could get accommodation for each year. And I kind of did like a bit of a grid and was like, right, which kind of the top 3 or 4. And then I looked around them at open day. And then like that kind of helped me break them down a little bit.
So I really like how kind of personal it is, because obviously I still go to lectures because I do maths, so I have a lot of lectures and a lot of contact hours, and so I still go to a lecture theatre full of like 250 people, and there aren't many opportunities there to kind of ask questions and get clarification. But what the good thing about Oxford is I can then go back to my college and I can go to my tutor and I can say, I don't understand this, can you explain it? Or would you mind like telling me how to do this, because I didn't really understand it in the lectures. And it's really great because you can kind of, the tutorials are there for you to use, so you can really kind of personalize how you want them to be used and what you want to cover, which is really good. On that point, there's like lots of flexibility which will allow you. So if you really want to kind of explore one part of the topic which you're doing, you can just speak about that in a tutorial, and often that will just be fine, or just talk about it in an essay if you want to. I really like that, because if there's something that you want to explore, then you can explore it, even if it's not explicitly on the reading list.
Because I study 3 different subjects, something that's really great is being able to be in tutorials with people who might do one of my subjects but not the other. So I get to interact in tutorials with a really broad mix of people who have different skills and different interests, and that I feel is really enriching for my degree.
So I feel like for my degree, what I really appreciate is how important all of the fieldwork aspects of it are, and how much importance is placed on actually applying geological knowledge and things like that into real life applications.
I'm in a bit of a similar boat as Maddie, so I've got quite a lot of contact hours in lectures where there's not really an opportunity to ask questions. Like at the end you can go up and ask the lecturer, but it's a bit like sometimes you're pushed for time, so you don't have time to go and ask. But then you can go back to college and you can ask your tutor questions. And also in biology as well, we have, they're called synthesis sessions, but it's basically like a small group discussion. There's maybe like 30 or so of you in a room, and you just get to talk about a topic, and there's usually an academic that kind of leads the discussion, but it can go anywhere you want it to go, really. So I find that really nice.
So I do medicine, and I really like the variety of my course. So like, for example, one day I can have a lecture and then I go to a practical, or I have a tube, or I kind of go to the hospital or to the GP. So kind of each day is always different, and that kind of really keeps it interesting and keeps you on your toes, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. I like the mixture of tutorials, which is what Oxford is famous for, I guess, but we also have lots of smaller group teaching with people not only from college, but from different colleges and from the whole faculty. So you get to meet lots of different people as well. So if lectures are how you learn best, like that's offered, but if you prefer groups, then that's also an option. So I think the different variety of teaching styles means that however you learn best is always catered to.
So far, I haven't had to have a single tutorial outside of Worcester because we have, I do maths as well. We have enough tutors to cover all of the first and second year modules. So I haven't had to have a class outside of Worcester yet, which is really convenient because I've had to leave for my tutorial 2 minutes before they start. It's there's not much time between leaving and arriving. But in third year, I will have classes in the department as you begin to get more specialised. I'm not sure this is a general trend. As you get more specialised, you have to kind of find friends from different colleges who've got the same interests as you. But most of my teaching has been in college so far, apart from the lectures, which for maths are 7 minutes up the road. So any mathematicians looking to apply to Worcester, that's a huge advantage. 7 minutes exactly to get to lectures every morning.
I've never ever had a tutorial in college, and I don't think I ever will, because all of the teaching and all of my tutors work in their department's offices. So there's basically no reason to have a tutorial in college for my degree, and also because many of the things we do in tutorials required like a microscope or something like that, and that is difficult to bring those over. So, yeah.
My experience has been basically exactly in the middle of those two, because I do French and Spanish. So French is taught in college by the tutors in college, but Spanish is done on a more faculty level. So I have all my classes with people from different colleges for Spanish. So I think it's really subject dependent as to where the tutors are based, but they always make sure that your teaching is with the best people. So depending on your college, you never have a better or a worse sort of standard of teaching.
Way it works for law is we're paired with another college, so half of our tutorials are in Worcester and then they come to us, and the other half we go to them. So it's quite a nice mix, and you get to like meet other people from the same subject but at a different college.
So for medicine, it kind of depends on college. So for tutorials, I have most of mine in college, but because two of my tutors are doctors, we sometimes have them at the hospital, which is quite exciting. And then the majority of like the lectures and practicals are at the Medical Sciences Teaching Centre. So that's like in the science area, about a 10-minute walk away. And that's really good because you get to meet like everyone else in your year, and you kind of have like a much bigger kind of community than just everyone at your college. So quite enjoy that.
For PPE, we're kind of famous for not having that many contact hours. So we have maybe two tutorials a week, and then so last term we have 2 tutorials every week and then a class every other week. And so both of those tutorials would happen in college, but the class was organised on a faculty level, so we'd have that at the department building. So it's kind of a nice mix. Every now and again you see some other people from different colleges, but for the most part we're in college with people that we know, which is nice.
I have some of my tutors in college, but some of the other ones are in the department just because one of my tutors prefers to work in his office. But I also have lectures in my department and labs in my department as well. So I'm kind of like split between the 2 areas really.
I've spent almost all of my time socialising in college because I'm not good enough at sport to make a uni team, and I don't have a niche enough interest to go to something like Origami Society, which is university wide. So all of my socialising has been in college, and it's very possible to do so. You don't have to try and make friends from outside if you don't want to. But I think it completely depends on where your interests lie. But there's 120 of you in a year group, and also the year groups merge a little bit, so it's less kind of well defined or structured. So we're across all of the years here, and I know everybody here fairly well, and I've only known some of them a year, and it's really so if there's like 400 people in college, so chances are you'll find friends in college, but you can also find other friends outside of college if you do something uni-wide.
With the family system in college as well, that kind of helps like break the boundaries between the different year groups. Like Irene is my college mum, and like we have family dinners and like family meetups and chats, which is really nice. And like we've all met each other's friendship groups, and that's really nice as well. But I don't actually do that many societies like in Worcester. I tend to do mine outside of college. But like I'd say most of my friends I've met in college, like in hall or because they do my subject and stuff. So it does help kind of in the initial like Freshers Week situation to form a friendship group like within your college as well.
What I find really nice about the difference between college and university wide is that you can have societies within college that tend to be more chill, less commitment, but you can still enjoy yourself and meet other people, whilst at the university level it tends to be a bit more serious, so you can choose what you prefer to do, which is lovely, and you don't necessarily have in bigger universities and universities that don't have the college system.
And college social life also makes it super easy to interact with people doing different degrees, even if you don't have the slightest interest in any society or anything, any sports or anything like that. It's just right there, and it really encourages people to meet other people doing other subjects.
I think something that like is also good in terms of like sometimes you feel like you want to kind of escape the college bubble almost, is that there are like lots of places, lots of things that you can go and do in Oxford as well. Like there's lots of little coffee shops that you can go and work in, or, you know, like there's a covered market that you can go and walk around. And there's lots of different stuff to kind of just explore the city. Like Oxford's a very vibrant city, and there's like a lot of hustle and bustle, so there's always something you can do if you just kind of want to get out of college and just kind of go and explore a bit.
For college sports, it means you don't need to be particularly good at it to do it. So I've done ultimate frisbee for the past year, and I'm not very good at it at all, but I've still been able to play a bunch of matches for college, which I wouldn't have been able to do on a university level. So I think that's another really nice point of being in college system.
I second that one. I'd never played football in my life, and I made the girls' football team. It's really, really, really fun. I think college sport is a complete laugh, and people come out to support you, and it's really, really good fun. The other thing that's good about Worcester and college sport is every game's a home game, so there's almost no excuse for missing a match, because the sports pitches are all there. So if you play netball or tennis or football or rugby or frisbee or anything, there's the pitches are there. So you don't even have to trek to go and play your sports game. It's right on your doorstep.
On that note, I find the college sport, it kind of produces this friendly rivalry between colleges, which I feel really knits a college together as a community. Because, for example, I hate football. I just have no interest in it. But if Worcester's football team are playing, I'm going to go and have a look and make sure that I'm on their side to see how they're getting on. And I think that really unites, having an adversary, even though it's a friendly rivalry, really unites the college. I knew that I wanted to spend as much time as possible living within college. So for me, it was definitely a good thing that, because my degree is 3 years, I get to stay in college for that whole time if I want to. So that was something that I found to be really important when choosing the college.
So the good thing about Worcester compared to a lot of the other colleges is that there's a massive range of accommodation you can choose. So whereas lots of other colleges, it might be a random ballot as to what kind of room you get, and every room might cost the same price, which obviously brings up the average. At Worcester, you can, the minimum accommodation goes right down, and the maximum accommodation is still probably lower than lots of the other colleges kind of average. But having the range is a big thing. You can live in anything from, you know, one of the old buildings rooms, which are beautiful, but don't have an ensuite, and that will cost you less money, right up to living in one of the newer buildings that's ensuite and costs you a little bit more money and has, you know, a kitchen and stuff. But having the choice is a really, really good thing, and I think that's quite special about Worcester. And the prices match. I think if you have a delve into the figures, then you'll find that we do fairly well for price on accommodation.
I also really appreciated, before I applied, the fact that you get at least 3 years guaranteed accommodation, which for someone coming as an international student is especially important. Also, I think a big advantage is the fact that even the accommodation that isn't within the main college grounds, that isn't on site, even those accommodations are very close together and very close to the city center. You know, there's some colleges that have a little student accommodation right in their main site, and then they have some buildings far away from the city center where they house students.
Like in my first year, I lived in one of the cheapest rooms in college, so it didn't have an ensuite. It was like a shared bathroom, no kitchen, and it was quite a small room. And I was kind of a little bit like, oh, what's it going to be like? Like, am I going to be okay? And genuinely, like, it was totally fine. Like, I absolutely adore my room from this year, because it's in like one of the oldest buildings in the college. So you do kind of get the sort of like slightly like Hogwarts-esque experience. But like, I never found, like, I absolutely adored it. And like kind of with sharing stuff, and like you can eat in the hall, so there's lots of different options in terms of like your food and things, and I like genuinely love my accommodation, and I wouldn't have changed it.
I quite like how, even though there's maybe 120 of us in a year group, we're split across accommodations which are quite small. So for example, there's about 27 people in my building, and so it's been really nice to be in quite with a small bunch of people and get to know them, and we've become quite a close-knit group, which is something that I really like about where I live.
the 3 years of accommodation is really good for me coming back from my year abroad next year, knowing that I'm going to be in college and like immediately become part of the Worcester community again and be around people from different years and meet people that I haven't met before from being away, is a really great thing about Worcester. I don't feel like I'm coming back and just being lumped with the irrelevant fourth years. I feel like I'm going to be able to integrate back into the community again.
I also think Worcester does quite well with accommodating people's needs when it comes to accommodation. For one thing, it's because we have such a huge variety, and there's gonna be one room that's gonna fit some sort of need that someone might have, and also because I think the staff that work in accommodation are really good at their job.
I think it's a bit of a myth that Oxford is somehow more expensive than anywhere else. I found that I actually have saved a lot more money than all of my friends anywhere else. My accommodation is like half the price of lots of other people's at different unis, because we move out in the holidays, so we are only charged for half of the time that other people stay in their accommodation. So that makes it very affordable. And the meals as well, they're all very good value, and you know, you don't need to eat in hall for lunch and dinner, but even if you do, it's very affordable. But even if you make a sandwich for lunch and then go and eat in hall in the evening, I find it's very, very affordable. My student loan covers it. We feel like we get very good value for money here compared to a lot of other places.
I found that living in college, in comparison, as Alan was saying, to other universities is cheaper. But of course, if you decide to live out, it can be more expensive. That is one truth about Oxford, is that the average living price is much more expensive if you decide to live out. But having the option of being able to stay in college is definitely a plus for Worcester.
You might be a bit shocked at the price of a pint in Oxford, but if you go to the student bar, it's not as bad.
Like Helen was saying, the food in hall is really affordable. It's also really, really good as well. So like, it's definitely value for money there.
There are also lots of bursaries offered by Oxford, and also I know my faculty offer lots of bursaries because I do a year abroad, so they have hardship funds for that as well. You often don't even have to apply for a lot of the bursaries offered by the university, so there is financial support available. There's also book grants, I think £100 book grants for your subjects as well, which I've definitely taken advantage of, and travel grants as well, because when you do a language, if you just say you're going anywhere to practice the language, it's a good enough reason. So I've had 2 travel grants from college as well, which has been great.
One thing I found different for me compared to my friends at other universities is how little, well, in fact, nothing I spend on transport. Because I have friends who have to like take the bus every day to be able to get to uni. And for us, that's just not the case. Like everywhere in Oxford, you can get to on foot pretty much. And failing that, a bike, which actually like Worcester's really great for, because we have bikes that you can just borrow. So you don't even need to have your own bike. So I find that getting around is really cheap. And well, I mean, it's free, so that's a good thing.
I think like another good thing that like the college offers is often the events that we run within college are often, you know, either very cheap prices or sometimes even free. And so it's really good because you get to kind of have the social aspect and you get to do these events and stuff, but you're still not spending a lot of money, which is something that I've really like found valuable.
Yeah, we go to like a fancy formal hall dinner. We think, oh my goodness, this food looks like restaurant food. It must be really expensive. And it's like a £5 for 3 courses. And that's really, really good. So it's something really, really special, but it's subsidised so heavily that we get it for a very good price. So you get to, like Maddie was saying, actually, there's lots of fancy looking events that might appear to be expensive, but actually they're very subsidised and very, very doable.
Another thing which I think is really great is because we have this college system, you can get involved in college sport. And I don't know whether it's the case for all college sports, but I certainly haven't paid a penny to contribute to be able to play or train or even play matches for any of the sport that I've done. And I know I have friends at other unis who've wanted to get involved with sport, but the cost has meant that they can't do that. So I think that's another thing that's really great about Oxford and affordable.
I think it's lovely. I think I really, really believe that everyone is lovely. I think we have such a fantastic kind of family feel to the place. Everyone knows each other. There's lots of kind of, hello, hello, hello goes on between everyone, and the staff as well. You get to know the staff, so that kind of encourages the friendliness.
I think like one thing that I found really, really like helpful was that the fact that there's so much kind of intermingling between different years, which is kind of obviously that happens in other colleges, but like at other universities you might not get that as much. But everyone in like the older years is so willing to help you and support you, and like I've had so many of the older years like kind of take me under their wing, and it's been really lovely because it just kind of is nice to know that you have that support, and there's so many people in college that you can go to for support if you need it. So I found it really welcoming.
Having such a closely knit community is so rare. The more people, the more students there are in a college among bigger students. I think it's really impressive how we managed to be so friendly around the grounds.
I think everyone in Worcester is just so friendly no matter where you go, whether you're going into the hall or to a library or into the bar, there's always someone to chat to and someone that you know. So I think that really helps, especially when you're first starting and you haven't maybe got your group in like Freshers Week or something. There's always someone kicking about to have a chat to. So.
The lake, how have we not mentioned the lake yet? We always mention the lake when we compare ourselves to other colleges, but it is really wonderful to have an open space. There's no kind of sense of claustrophobia about it. It's not like you're trapped in Worcester or anything, which may be the case if you don't have an open space to go and wander around, but you can take 5 minutes, 10 minutes break and just wander around the lake, have a look at the swans. It's lovely. It is just lovely, and I think that helps to keep everyone happy. I think if you can walk around the grounds and it's so beautiful, you feel humbled instantly. I think that's the thing. If you ever get stressed about your work or whatever, and then you go outside and you're like, wow, actually it's not so bad here. It's lovely. So yeah, I think that's important to mention.
I think that in terms of student welfare, Worcester's definitely the most supportive environment that I've ever been in terms of education, because I know that if I ever had a problem or was worried about something or stressed out, there would just be so many people that I could turn to that would lend me an ear. We've really got a great welfare network set up, so there's always someone to have a chat to if you're feeling a bit down, which I love.